For centuries, the moon has been a symbol of mystery, romance, and wonder. It has inspired poets, astronomers, philosophers, and dreamers. But today, it is being viewed through a very different lens. Not as a distant celestial body, but as a strategic asset. A resource-rich frontier. A territory to be claimed, controlled, and possibly weaponized. And now, for the first time in history, the question must be asked in earnest. Will the moon become the next battleground for superpowers? To answer that, we must first look at how our relationship with the moon has evolved. In 1969, the world watched in awe as Neil Armstrong set foot on lunar soil during the Apollo 11 mission. It was a moment of unity and triumph, an achievement that belonged not just to America, but to humanity. For decades after, the moon remained untouched by human presence, left largely to orbit in peace. But in the 21st century, the race is on again, and this time, the stakes are much higher. In recent years, the United States, China, Russia, India, and several private companies have all announced ambitious plans to return to the moon. But these missions are not just about exploration or scientific discovery. They are about establishing permanent presence, securing access to natural resources, and asserting technological and geopolitical dominance. Let's break this down. Why is the moon suddenly so important again? One reason is resources. The moon is believed to contain vast quantities of valuable materials. Its surface holds rare earth elements like titanium and thorium, which are essential for electronics, energy production, and advanced manufacturing. Even more valuable is helium-3, a rare isotope that could potentially fuel the next generation of nuclear fusion reactors. If fusion power becomes viable, helium-3 could become the oil of the future. And the moon has a lot of it, especially in the regolith near its poles. Then there's water. In 2009, NASA confirmed the presence of frozen water in permanently shadowed craters at the moon's south pole. That water can be used to support human life, grow food, and be split into hydrogen and oxygen to produce rocket fuel. Whoever controls the lunar poles could control the ability to refuel in space, making the moon a vital pit stop on the way to Mars and beyond. This is not just science fiction, it's strategic reality. And it's changing how nations think about space. The United States is leading the charge with its Artemis program, which aims to return humans to the moon by the mid-2020s and establish a long-term base at the South Pole. NASA is partnering with commercial companies and international allies under the Artemis Accords, a set of principles for peaceful space exploration. But not everyone is on board. China and Russia have criticized the Artemis Accords and instead announced their own International Lunar Research Station, a competing lunar base project. Tensions are rising. Both China and the US have launched lunar orbiters, landers, and planned manned missions. Each country is mapping the moon's terrain, identifying resource-rich areas, and testing the technology needed to build infrastructure on the lunar surface. But what happens when two rival nations land in the same crater? What happens when multiple rovers start mining the same patch of lunar soil? Or when military satellites monitor activity from above? The moon has no clear borders. No national flags define ownership. And yet, the possibility of territorial disputes is growing more real every year. Here's where the legal gray area begins. According to the 1967 Outer Space Treaty, no nation can claim sovereignty over any celestial body, including the moon. But the treaty is vague when it comes to resource extraction. It bans ownership of the moon itself, but says nothing definitive about owning the materials mined from it. The U.S. Commercial Space Launch Competitiveness Act, signed into law in 2015, allows American companies to own and sell space resources they extract. Similar laws are emerging in Luxembourg, the UAE, and other space-ambitious nations. Meanwhile, China has taken steps to frame the moon as a shared resource for humanity, while simultaneously building its own lunar program. The result is a growing legal vacuum, one that could lead to conflict if not addressed. The situation becomes even more complex when military applications are considered. While no weapons have been placed on the moon, at least not officially, space-based surveillance, communication, and positioning systems already play critical roles in global defense strategies. And the moon offers a unique vantage point. Its far side is shielded from Earth's radio noise, making it ideal for deep space monitoring and potential covert installations. A base on the moon could host military sensors, early warning systems, or strategic communication relays. In a worst-case scenario, the moon could be used to deploy or defend against space-based weapons, turning it from a peaceful outpost into a militarized stronghold. This raises profound questions. Will future treaties ban weapons on the moon explicitly? Or will rival powers exploit loopholes to build influence? Could the moon become the 21st century version of Antarctica or the Arctic, a remote, resource-rich territory at the center of global competition? It's not just national governments getting involved. Private companies like SpaceX, Blue Origin, and Astrobotic are also developing the capability to reach, land on, and potentially build on the moon. This introduces a commercial element to the power struggle. Who regulates corporate activity on the lunar surface? Can a company claim exclusive rights to mine a crater, or build a solar farm? And if they do, how is that enforced? The lack of enforceable laws combined with emerging capabilities creates a recipe for confrontation. And history tells us that where wealth and power converge, conflict often follows. So, will the moon become the next battleground for superpowers? If we continue down the current path, without clear agreements, enforceable laws, and cooperative frameworks, then yes, it could. But it doesn't have to be that way. The moon could also be a platform for international cooperation, a symbol of unity and shared destiny, just as it was during the Apollo era. We have a choice. We can treat the moon as the next frontier of division. Or we can rise above history and make it a base for peace, science, and collective progress. Because the moon is not just a rock in the sky. It is a mirror. And how we treat it will reflect the kind of future we're building, not just in space, but here on Earth.